In this video, I'm going to show you how to make trays on the pottery wheel, kind of on the slab roller and the pottery wheel. And to start off, you're going to get a bag of clay and you're going to cut it a little bit less than halfway going the long way. And then we're going to show you the next step.
Once you have that big, that long slab, you need to stretch it out to make it longer. So this is how you do that. You take it, and you throw it down at an angle, and it's going to start stretching that slab out. And you want to do this as many times as you need to in order for it to be wide enough to fit a bat. And notice how we're flipping it. So you go one way, you flip it, you go another way, you flip it. And that might be good. And make sure that it fits. Is it wide enough for the bat?
Yeah. It's
all
like,
right.
well, yeah.
So then we're good, and we're gonna head over to the slab roller. We have our canvases. So you have a canvas for the top and a canvas for the bottom. You need to line these up. So I'm gonna shove that one through. And you wanna make sure that they're lined up even on the sides here. And that there's no wrinkles, okay? So I have it started and I'm gonna pull it this way because we're actually gonna start the slab on this side. Now with the canvases, you wanna make sure there's no wrinkles. So really try to smooth those wrinkles out. I'm gonna fix this. Okay, so you're going to lift this first canvas up, bend it back. Again, make sure there's no wrinkles here. You're gonna grab your slab, do it with nice open hands, and then lay your slab down as close as you can to the roller, and then put your canvas on top. Now again, you wanna check for those wrinkles. So I just kind of press the canvas on that clay, like so. Slab is under here, it's all set up. We have the measurements set at 3/8, so make sure it's at 3/8 for this project. And we're gonna start the slab, you're just gonna pull on that side a little bit as you start rolling this. And it should catch, and then you're good. You don't have to pull there anymore. And it will just go on through. Okay, then pull your canvas back, just this canvas.
Which
The top one.
Like this?
Pull it back this way. Yep. And then let's just double check that the bat fits. So for this project, we're using the orange bats. He's gonna make sure that it fits on there. If you wanna have more like extra space, you can utilize the slab by going as close to the edge as you can. And then you could have the rest of this if you wanted to experiment with stuff with handles, or you could just wedge this back up and throw with it. Okay, so we're gonna cut around this bat, but when you cut around this bat, I want you to use one of our dull metal knives. Do not use anything sharp, like a needle tool or something like that, because it will cut our canvas. So he is gonna go ahead and cut around this, and he's gonna hold the tool straight up and down when he does it, so it's not at an angle. You don't have to press really hard because it's just soft clay. So if you put your hand on the middle of the bat, it'll kind of hold it in place while you go around with it with the metal knife. Okay, so now he's just gonna make a slice there. Yep, cut that away. And he can save that other part if he wants to, or he can wedge it up and use it for throwing. When you go to flip it, make sure the bat is facing the other way. So go ahead and flip your bat over. Yep. And then he's gonna put his hand underneath the canvas and make sure it's still lined up. And then he's gonna flip this pretty quickly. Good job. So then it stays pretty lined up on the bat. And then he's gonna head to his wheel. So you have your slab on your bat. You know, these bats have your little 3 bumps here. So find your bumps, have your bat pins in. And then the weight of the clay should have it pop down because you don't want to put your fingerprints in this, okay? The other tool you're gonna need is this PVC pipe, and I have them labeled in the locker and they say plate tools. So you're gonna need this additional tool. If you were to just like fire this as a plate, it would very likely crack because the clay platelets are all like mixed up like this. So we need to compress this clay to make those clay platelets kind of flatten out and tighten up and go together. So when I say compress your bottom of your pot or compress your plate, tray, casserole, that's what I mean. So we're gonna apply pressure, even pressure to this, to kind of make those clay platelets work themselves together without really changing the form. So I'm gonna get this wet. I'm also gonna get this wet. And I've also learned if I keep this here, I can squeeze it when I want to. Now, it would be ideal if this was long enough to go the whole distance, but it's not. So just be careful that you're not pushing too hard on one side or another. We don't want to change the shape. I'm just applying a firm pressure here. We don't want to make it really thin. Like it will come out a little bit here, but it doesn't need to a lot. We're just, again, compressing that clay. I would do this for a good minute or so. Don't skip this step, you guys, because if you do, it's very likely that it's gonna crack. It looks like I'm doing nothing, but I am applying pressure. And again, try not to get these circles that I'm getting here. So I'm just varying my pressure. Again, have your sponge with water. You'll be able to tell when it gets too dry. All right, so if you do get any lines, you can kind of smooth those out. Now for this next part, you're going to want to take off your splash pan. Let me see, I need just a little bit so that you can see right here. Okay, so you want to have your needle tool, and under here it's laying over the bat a little bit. I want to figure out where that bat is, and I'm going to hold my hand steady. I'm actually resting my hand just on this loose splash pan. I'm going to hold this tool straight up and down, and once I'm straight up and down and know where I'm going to hold it, I'm going to start pressing it in until I hit the bat. Now, you guys aren't used to going around in such a big circle, so it's gonna take longer to get through something because you have to go around such a big circle. Okay, so ideally, to get the biggest size tray, we want to be as close to the edge of that bat as possible. If you want a smaller tray, you could cut in a little bit closer to the middle. All right, for this next part, I just kind of like to smooth out that hard edge right there. And you're going to take your wooden rib. Okay, it's really important that it's your wooden rib. And we're gonna put the wooden rib on the bat, and we're gonna slowly move that wooden rib in. What we're gonna do is we're gonna create like a bead of clay here that we can then pull the wall, okay? When you're using this, you don't want this tool to be like 90 degrees to the clay. You wanna have it more at a 45-degree angle. You don't want clay to be being trimmed off. You want it to be pushed in. I'll show you what that looks like. Make sure this is wet. I'm gonna have my hand here supporting it, and I'm gonna start pushing that in. Now push it in slowly because it's gotta get around that entire circle. It's a big circle. And I am kind of supporting it here, just like how if we apply pressure on one side, we wanna have support on the other side. I'm gonna get that wet again, and I'm gonna push it in more. This tool is flat against here, but more at a 45-degree angle. Now here is the tricky part. You want to make this a little bit thicker than what you think the thickness of this is. Because in the end, you want this to be the same thickness of this, and we still have to pull this a little bit, okay? So right now, I think this is a little bit thicker than the floor of this, so I'm gonna stop there. Just gonna kind of go over that rim a little bit. All right, the next part, get it wet, just like you normally would do. Now, again, you're gonna have to bring your fingers up very slowly because it's gotta get all the way around. And I'm just gonna like barely throw this, okay? Because I don't want it to get too thin. If this gets too thin and this is thick and this is thin, what's gonna happen? It's gonna crack. Not only is it gonna crack, but you'll probably have one just gigantic crack that goes all the way around here. I'm going to pull this wall straight up just a little bit. All right, you guys, so make sure with your rims that they're not squared off like this. We want these to be really uniform. So we're gonna show you how to make this more round. So take your sponge and kind of put it on the inside and the outside. Go this way, do it, yep. Just kind of pinch this a little bit so those rims get more round and not square. Because we want the rims to match. We want the inside to go straight up and down and the outside to go straight up and down. So you can see, for me it only took one pull, straight up and down, go over the rim with your sponge. All right, next, moving on to trimming. The goal is to have this straight up and down, so I'm gonna just trim some of this weight off here, just like we do in a normal pot. Again, moving that tool down slowly. So it has to go all the way around. I'm gonna dry. You wanna make sure this is all nice and dry. But this is nice and rounded. For the undercut, it's much easier if you make sure that your bat is clean with a dry sponge. For your undercut, we're all gonna do this the same, and here's the directions. You're gonna hold your wooden knife like it's a pencil. Then you're gonna rest your pinky on the splash pan, okay? So that's the angle we'll all have, and then we're gonna go in for our undercut, like so, okay? Our goal with the base form is that we make these all the same up until this point. So I'll go over some of those requirements. Here are your requirements. You want this to be at least 10 inches wide. This one's 11, okay? So at least 10 inches wide, and you want it to be at least or as close to 2 inches, at least 2 inches tall, okay? You wanna have the undercut with the pencil angle. This, I should be able to put, this should be exactly a 90-degree angle here. And to check that at the very end, get this wet, get your hand wet. I can put this on the bat and see how it goes in right there. I'm just gonna slowly pop that out. I'm bringing my fingertip up on the inside against that rib, so I have a nice, clean, straight wall. We're also looking for that this is 90 degrees in here and a flat floor. So everyone must start off with this technical requirements of this project. Okay, so once you have this, this is your blank canvas. From here is where you get to, you know, express your artistic voice. You know, let's say you wanted to maybe add some throwing rings on the inside of here.
Maybe you want to alter the rim a little bit. Your biggest challenge for this project is you're going to make 3 of them, and you're going to add handles. So whatever that means to you, however you want to do that. Like I've seen some where people cut this out right here and then, you know, add a clay handle that goes down here and then up. You could cut holes in it and later add fabric or leather. You could pull handles. You know, you could cut this out and have that be the negative space and the handle be the positive space that you leave. The sky is the limit. This is where you get to get creative, as long as it's still a tray with handles in the end. Okay, so the finishing part, you're gonna want to cut these right on the wheel, okay? Don't wait to cut these. Take your splash pan off, take your wire, and you're gonna need to hold this super tight. You don't want it to bend when you're underneath it because it will cut through your pot. Your goal is to be able to do this in one swipe. If you start to do this and then stop and then start and stop, you're gonna have a line every place you stopped. Okay, so this is another technical skill that you're practicing. So hold it super tight, super tight, and bring it all the way across in one swoop, like so, okay? Now, from here, we're not gonna put these in front of the fan, but as soon as this is leather hard enough that you can remove it from the bat, you want to remove it from the bat and get it on a cart so that the bottom can get air. If you were to leave this on this bat the entire time, all of this would dry, but this bottom would not dry at the same rate and it's gonna crack again. These aren't so hard to make. The hard part is in the drying of them. There's so many opportunities for them to crack if you don't follow the rules. I know some of you worry about getting the little lines from the cart, but those little lines are gonna be better than a huge crack, okay? We're not gonna worry about those lines. Think of it as a decorative aspect. All right, intermediates, you're making 3. And they can be all the same. They could all be different, but they have to follow those first basic expectations.
Okay, so when you're done with your tray, if you know you're gonna be at school the next day, don't do this over the weekend, or if you know you have a track meet or something like that. We have these damp carts, and that plastic comes down and covers everything up at once. So you're going to put your piece on the damp cart, so go ahead and do that. And then you're going to get a piece of masking tape and Sharpie, and you're gonna label yours with your name, just because they all look so similar. We don't want them to get mixed up. And then tomorrow, hopefully, they should be dry enough, so I did these yesterday, that you can take them off the bat so they can start to get air underneath them. We want air to get underneath them so that they can dry more evenly. So I'll probably keep that there for another day. And then I can proceed with the handles